Sometimes life takes a person to a point where dreams collide with reality and break apart. And then the question is not how much you want something. The question is how many times you can break and still stand up again. This is the story of a boy who was not defeated. He was simply not built yet. It was a silent night in the village of Chenarpur. A young boy sat holding an old cricket bat. His name was Haider. That day, his dream had shattered. He had gone to the city trials, where thousands of boys competed, but he was not selected. One sentence from the coach stayed inside his mind like a wound. You have talent, but you don't have the fire that separates the great ones from the rest. That was not just a sentence. It was a judgment on his future. From the next day, Haider changed. No conversations, no laughter, no talks about dreams. Only silence. But something else had begun. Early morning running, alone in the empty field, with a broken heart and tired body. 5 minutes, then 10, then pain. But he did not stop. Inside him, only one voice echoed. Either change yourself or disappear. One day, he reached the edge of the village, where a blacksmith worked. Fire was burning, iron was melting, and sparks were flying into the dark air. Without looking up, the blacksmith said, "What are you looking at?" Haider asked, "Why do you keep putting iron into fire again and again?" The blacksmith smiled and said, "Because without pain, nothing becomes strong." That one sentence changed the direction of Haider's life. From that day, he trained every single day. Morning runs, hard physical work during the day, and practice in the evening. He worked with the blacksmith, lifting iron, burning coal, striking metal with a hammer. Every strike broke him and built him at the same time. The blacksmith would say, "When the body gets tired, it rests. But when the mind gets tired, a man is already defeated." Haider was no longer just surviving. He was becoming something new. 6 months later, city trials were announced again. The same door that had once closed was open again. But he was not the same person anymore. People laughed at him, saying, "He is back again chasing dreams." But this time he was silent, because he was no longer chasing dreams. He was becoming one. The trials began. Running, skills, performance. He was ahead in everything. But the real test was pressure. The stadium was silent. Thousands of eyes watching him. One defining moment. Standing in front of him, one ball came toward him. Haider closed his eyes for a moment. In his mind, the blacksmith's voice echoed. Failure happens where the mind stops. He swung with full power, and the ball flew over the boundary. Silence broke. Then the stadium exploded. He was selected. But there was no pride on his face, only calmness. Because he knew this was not the end. This was the beginning. Time passed. A big match arrived. The team was on the edge of defeat. Everything seemed lost. Haider walked to the crease. Pressure, noise, silence. Everything existed at once. First ball missed. Second, reduced runs. Third, increased pressure. He looked at the sky and remembered everything. The nights he ran alone, the pain he endured, the moments he broke. The fourth ball came. He struck it with full strength, and the ball went high into the air. And then a 6. The stadium erupted. Victory, screams, celebration. But Haider stood still. Later, journalists asked him, "How? Did you do it?" He said, "I rebuilt myself. I made failure my teacher." He returned to the village. The blacksmith was still there, fire still burning. Haider said, "I have succeeded." The blacksmith smiled and said, "No, you have only begun." Then he said the final words, "Even after a sword is made, it must be sharpened every day." And that is the truth. Life is not won by talent alone, but by the process of becoming again and again. Some people dream, and some people become the dream itself. And this was the warrior rising from ashes.